And I'm told that we are also joined in by the legendary film actress Sharmila Tagore, who's joining us on this broadcast and beyond. Ma'am, thank you very much for taking time out and speaking to us in this very difficult moment where the nation, of course, is mourning. Lata Mangeshkar is no more. Lata Mangeshkar is a legend of music. You know, generations have in fact grown up listening to the music of Lata Mangeshkar. What are your thoughts on this extremely difficult moment for the people of India and indeed for music lovers around the world?
Absolutely. She was a legend and her legacy is vast. She was unmatched, really. And she has been singing for so many decades, I think, from
1940s
that beautiful
onwards,
song, I know, Aega Aane Wala in Mahal, which was, I think, in 1948. And I was just 4 years then. So you can imagine, from then to now, she sung for me, she sung for Soha in Rang De Basanti. For Kajol, she sung for Tanuja, she sung for Shobna Samarth, so 3 generations. We can imagine for how many years we've heard her voice, her unmatched voice in so many languages. She sang in Bengali, Marathi, I think over 30 languages. And I'm familiar with her Bengali songs. And her pronunciation is impeccable because she was a dedicated artist. Although I've heard her record her songs in person because Shakti Ji took me to when she was recording for Aradhna. And those days the entire orchestra used to play. There was, not sort of separate recording. And she was in a glass cubicle. And where Kishore Ji, I've seen, he used to sit and sing. Lata Ji stood and just went through the song once. And then the first take was, the first time, it was okay. She saved so much time. So everybody liked to work with her. And that, when she took over from, let's say, Noor Jahan and Shamshad Begum, she was a different kind of voice. And that time there were a lot of Muslim writers, music composed, the melodies were written by a lot of Muslims. And there were a lot of those Urdu words. And Lata Ji really perfected those, because I, being a Bengali, was constantly told how to pronounce Gaf and Kaf and, so she was perfect. And what wonderful songs that she has sung for me. In Anupama comes to mind, Kuch Dil Ne Kaha, then Raina Biti Jaye, and so many mothers put their children to sleep with Chanda Hai Tu, Mera Suraj Hai Tu, Bada Natkhat Hai, Krishna Kanhaiya. And then other kinds of songs, Hum Aur Tum, and the songs in Talash. So it's endless. I mean, and for so many generations. So you cannot really compare. And also the patriotic songs, after the Chinese aggression, when I remember that time, my mother had given up rice for a year, and there was no jobs, and India was going through such a difficult time. And she sang that "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logon," and that's even when I'm talking about it, I'm that feeling of being together, and India needed that song at that time.
Absolutely.
And Nehru was so moved with that song. So she really internalized so many things, and I think the progression of India and her was interlinked. You cannot imagine one without the other, because her voice was so paramount and has been so all-engulfing in all these years. And of course it will carry on, because in her own words, in her own, like she had sung, Naam gum jayega, chehra bhi badal jayega, meri awaaz hi meri pehchan hai, gar yaad rahe. Then she had sung Rahe Na Rahe Hum. So many, I mean, like there is occasions, songs for every occasion, really.
Absolutely.
And my favorite, of course, is that,
yes, go ahead.
With Gulzar Saab, there are so many songs of hers, Mera Gora Angle Laile, then Piya Tu Se Naina Lage Re, then Humne Dekhi Hai In Aankhon Ki Mehkti Khushboo. So it's, and I was hearing Shankar just now talking to you, and he said that yesterday was Saraswati Puja, and I never really looked at it from that point of view, which is true. And the timing of Saraswati Puja and her going. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that was also, I know we are all feeling a sense of loss, but at the same time, her voice will always be immortal. She will be immortal.
That is true. This is, of course,
आवाज हमेशा अमर रहेगी.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that is, and behind that has been a lot of work, lot of dedication, lot of hanging in there.
Absolutely.
So she's been a wonderful individual.
Ms. Tagore, it's very interesting that you mentioned, that at the time that Lata Mangeshkar had her very first hit, you were just 4 years old. She had her very first hit way back in the year 1945 when she was singing for Madhubala for the film Mahal Aayega Aane Wala. And one of the enduring qualities is that Lata Mangeshkar was able to lend her voice to a generation of actresses, from Madhubala to Nargis to you to Vijayanti Mala to Madhuri Dixit to Soha Ali Khan, your daughter, and as late as Preeti Zinta in Veer Zara. Each generation would have had a different taste in music. There have been different demands of producers and music producers, and Lata Mangeshkar was able to stay on top of her game. What do you think set her apart?
Her voice, I think, because she had a very beautiful, God-gifted voice. Because she didn't sing in any other sort of a forced note. It came naturally. Her voice was natural. And that's why she could maintain it for so many years. Because it is true that after a while, you cannot sing as well. With age, your quality of your voice changes. But for her, it remains because she obviously did a lot of riyaz and a lot of, also her voice was golden, was natural.
Yep.
So I think that was one of the reasons. And she was very youthful at heart. She kept herself engaged through a lot of other interests. I mean, she loved cars, she loved wildlife, she loved wildlife photography. She was engaged with cricket. So there was that engagement with. So she was very youthful. Her voice was, when she spoke to me, I mean, her voice was so soft and gentle, and yet she was engaged. It was not that she was built herself an ivory tower and she was not connecting with people. She was a private person, definitely, but she was engaged.
Absolutely. And you also mentioned the fact, that Lata Mangeshkar was able to perfect Urdu, and that's something that a lot of singers would, of course, struggle with. But Lata Mangeshkar's pronunciation of words in other languages was almost flawless. Because Lata Mangeshkar was able to sing songs in 36 different languages. The work ethic of Lata Mangeshkar would have been, something on a different level altogether.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, nobody can be there for so long and be so successful that she had to be completely committed to this. And I mean, I know there's a lot of things have been said about her, but I'd like to believe that the producers and because, like I said, she saved so much time. She would come and sing. She would get the nuances right. She would get the demand of the script right. Where she had to be a little youthful and naughty, where she had to be seductive, where she had to be more. She got all the nuances right. So she saved the director a lot of time. And like I said, even the first take was okay. You can imagine, because time is money at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And she was completely, I mean, in Meera, Gulzar's Meera, she gave everything to those bhajans and, you know, the way she sang those songs. So she brought a little extra to the, so she felt, because as you know, she started, I mean, she did some acting also in her early sort of stage. So she understood performances. So I wouldn't be surprised if she visualized the song in her mind also, you know.
Absolutely.
So I think she had that quality. So because when we heard her song, when we had to lip sync, we were inspired, and we got our cue from the words and the tonal quality of the song.
Absolutely.
Of course, the credit to the music director also. But the way she sang it made it much easier for us. And also our longevity, because, you know, music was such a, at least in our time, was such an integral part of...
That is true.
And it contributed to the film being liked. People repeatedly went, like some people saw Aradhana 20 times or whatever. It must have been for the story, but it was also for the song.
That is true. That is true.
So the contribution of, and Lata Ji was very much a part of that. I mean, today we have lost her, but I think she will remain with us forever. And she has made a place for herself in our heart and in our subconscious. You know, she's inside us. We don't even consciously think of it, but she's with us. So she will be with us forever. I have no doubt.
That's very rich tribute. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Sharmila Tagore, for joining us, taking time out and speaking to us in this very difficult time indeed.